Our first project is being done up on the lift now that everything is complete. We're going to be putting those eBay headers on my car that we just unboxed. These are the headers. The only other thing I had to buy from eBay besides the headers was this angle piece for the O2 sensor. Puts it at a 90-degree angle. I was told I only need one, so hopefully today goes well. If not, this will turn this quick, easy project into a several-day thing. We'll try to be as professional as we can. On one of my other buddies' cars, we did this too. We ended up using a Sawzall to cut his stock exhaust out because we got too impatient. The other thing we bought were brand new manifold gaskets because the ones that came with the eBay exhaust didn't have the heat shields on them. So the first thing we've done is put PB Blaster on all of our nuts and bolts so that it wasn't welded together with rust. We're going to be taking off this plate and then we're going to be removing the OEM headers from the engine. Next, we're going to be lifting up on the bottom side of our oil pan so that we can get our engine mounts out, which we're also going to replace while we're in here. Once this has been lifted, we'll disconnect these 4 bolts. There's 2 here and then there's 2 on the other side. We'll remove the engine mount and then we'll do the other side as well. So these are the Rain Automotive engine mounts. They're supposedly going to be a lot nicer than the ones I have. They're more like a ZHP upgrade for my car. They don't come with the nuts, but mine look to be in good condition, so we'll just reuse those. And we've got our passenger and driver side. These came from ECS Tuning. The link to these will be in the description below. Yeah, I'm going to say that's bad. So we're having a hard time getting this top nut off of the other engine mount. So what we're gonna do is we put some PB Blaster on it. We're gonna let it sit for a little bit while we get the headers out because we don't necessarily have to have this side out to do this project. We're gonna get this side finished and try to come back to it later. We had to put the car back down. The last couple bolts are going to be taken out from the top and then we're going to be getting the O2 sensors out. So we're back underneath the car. We have all of our nuts and studs that happened to come out of the engine block when we were taking the bolts out for the manifold. Now we're going to be disconnecting them down here and pulling, hopefully getting them to fit out back through where we pulled out our engine mounts. So here they are, side by side. We're actually gonna go and get a scale. I didn't realize there was such a weight difference between the two, but this is significantly heavier than what we're gonna be putting in the car. So we're actually gonna weigh them and see what the weight difference is gonna be. On top of the performance that this gives us, it'll also give us a weight loss. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't planning on it at all, so that's awesome. So that's 17 pounds off the car out of the engine bay, which is good because that's the heavy part of my car because I've stripped everything out of the rear. So we're gonna wrap it up tonight. Got a little late on us. We have an O2 sensor that's having a hard time getting off the manifold, so we're hoping that we don't end up breaking that. So I'm gonna let it sit overnight with some PB Blaster on it. And then we didn't get a chance to retry the engine mount on the driver's side. We're gonna pick that up. And then all we gotta do is get it back on the car. We did try the shorter side, and it looks like that O2 bung is gonna hit the car. So we're probably gonna have to relocate that. Other than that, everything else looks great. We're back day 2. Looks like we're gonna have to relocate one of these bungs for the O2 sensors. We're gonna show you which headers are actually touching the car and how they mount up. I know this is kind of an issue with the eBay headers, and nobody's ever really specific, so we'll show you specifically what's going on underneath here. So here's bank 1 in its position, and as you can see back here, it looks like you've got plenty of room for an O2 sensor there. It might be a little bit tight, and then the other one is just back up over here. So it looks like we'll have plenty of room for that. Now we're gonna get the bank 2 in here, which is the one we're gonna be having issues with. So here's bank 2. That front O2 sensor looks like it'll work. This one right here is almost touching the firewall heat shield right there as it is. So that's the one we're gonna have to pull off and re-weld so that we can get it at a different angle. What we're gonna have to do is get both headers up here to make sure that when we swing the bung right or left, that it'll still match up with the other headers. So that bung right there, we're gonna have to move towards us and down to the side. And the O2 sensors will almost do a crisscross formation, but they will be able to clear everything. So the plan right now is to use our existing material. We're gonna cut this off about 1 inch down, just enough to leave threads so that we can put one of these plugs in it, and then we'll probably tack it or something so it doesn't come out. And then we're gonna take this inch and we're gonna drill a hole here and then weld it on this side. And if that fails, we did buy that angled piece. And so there are some extra parts to that, such as this, which is what we're gonna try to be creating with this when we cut it. So we've got a couple backup plans. Well, defeated again. We were hoping to have the car put together and started tonight. We ran into a couple issues. Luckily enough, our victories today were more so than our losses, such as getting all the O2 sensors to fit. That was a big win. We didn't have to do much to get everything to fit right. So we finally have everything put back together. Got our engine mounts put back in. We have our headers put together. Everything's all nice and tight. It fit very well after those slight modifications we had to do. Other than relocating that bung, the headers were actually really easy to put on and get to fit. So the only thing we've got left to do is put the splitter back on, put the exhaust back up in the back, got some hangers to put on. When you're doing this project yourself, it'd probably be best if you and your buddy would budget about 8 hours to do this. It took us a little bit longer. This was our first time doing it, and there wasn't a lot of information out there. There were some pictures on some forums, but there wasn't any really videos on how to do it. And the other reason it took us so long to do it was because we were doing it a couple hours a night. We only spent about 3 or 4 hours the first night, a couple hours the second night, and then this morning we were able to get it finished up. So our total time in this project was probably closer to about 10 hours. So as an afterthought, because we've got a couple wires that are pretty close to the headers, we bought some of this wrap that's meant to protect wires. So you just slide them through there and it'll keep the heat off of them so we're not melting anything. So we're gonna be putting this on. I think this is just one piece. I think that when we cut this up into 2, 3 pieces, that it should be plenty long enough. I know we've got one that gets really close, and we've got another one that gets really close as well. So we're gonna at least use 2, if not 3 of this.